All right, excellent afternoon to all those who are watching us across the state in Nigeria. Let me start by saying that wherever you are on net, gosh, you need to understand that there's no perfection, there's no absolute perfection in any of us, and there's none at individual level, and also of course at economical basis as well. So we are on to another interesting episode where we'll be talking and we will trying to strive, let me use the word, to have a better society and more productive economy. But in case of all the struggles out there, if you are struggling about something, there's bound to be disagreement. And on the topic today, I believe that resolution should be a way forward in whatever thing we are going to be doing. Again, I say welcome to another interesting episode where myself and my co-host Marshall are actually twinning. How you doing, twin?
Twinning, I like that. Yeah. So we're actually twinning right now.
Yes, we are.
And you know, when you just said shortly before the show, mango, I said to myself, you see, guys, Kike is always wearing mango. And someone had asked me before, Kike is wearing mango. What are you guys wearing? And I said, well, I might not wear mango, but I eat a lot of mango. I promise you. I eat a lot of mango. My name is Marshall Anthony Onoye. It's the RTWK show, the Real Talk with Kike show, where we bring you gist about what's happening around and about you. Sometimes these gist are serious talk with stakeholders as pertains to the topic. And today is going to be one of such days. Stay with us and the show will be interesting.
All right, many thanks for that. And of course, I know that something is just around the corner when it comes to our On This Day in History segment, because President Muhammadu Buhari did a number of commendable things to curb financial corruption. Yes, when I say commendable things, quite a number of people do not think that he has done quite well in terms of where the economy is at the moment. But he has set this day in 2015 aside as deadline for ministries, for MDAs, you know, and departments, agencies to comply with his directive on Treasury single accounts. Let's get the full gist on our this day in history segment. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
On this day in 2015, exactly 7 years ago, President Muhammadu Buhari set September 15 as the deadline for ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, to comply with his directive on Treasury single accounts. He directed them to pay into TSA or designated account maintained and operated in the Central Bank of Nigeria, except otherwise expressly approved. A circular issued to all MDAs of the federal government by the head of civil service of the Federation, Mr. Danladi Kifasi, urged the MDAs to ensure strict compliance with the deadline to avoid sanctions.
All right, many thanks for staying with us exactly on this day in history segment. Even as much as I know that is a good one, you know, that we are remembering one of the commendable things that he has done since he has gotten to that position of power. But I must ask, in terms of accountability, despite the fact that they are paying into one account, Marshall, we'll keep it real on this platform. Has it really called corruption?
Corruption. A very fantastic question. Has it worked? That's the big question. Has it really curbed corruption? We hear several people saying in different quarters that, look, when this government administration leaves, the investigations that would be done might be like triple the corruption investigation that was done in the time of the Goodluck Jonathan administration. Well, we don't know. We cannot authenticate that. But we do know that we've seen cases of corruption that has been reported. And then it just makes Goodluck Jonathan's or corruption cases that were reported in the administration of Goodluck Jonathan look like a walk in the park or a child's play. You know, so, but yes, it's a highly, like Kike said, highly commendable action to think that, okay, if everybody gets to pay into this one purse, we can monitor how much have we given to them and how much are they putting into this, what's their remittance, we'll know what ministry or development, what ministry or agency is doing well and know how to manage them. But there doesn't seem to be any management anywhere or monitoring, if you ask me.
Many thanks for that. Okay, we'll go on a quick break to get a message from our sponsors. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, before we dive into the topic at hand today, I think we should quickly touch on our trending stories. This is a story that binds us together as Nigerians, as families that interest us. And one of the first trending stories that caught our attention before we connect to our guest is the fact that Iyorcha, you must resign, Makinde said, and it has caused a lot of controversy as far as I'm concerned. A distraction, let me say, you know. But Masha, quickly, what's your take on it? This has been trending. It has taken over the newspaper headlines in Nigeria and the likes and all of that. What's your take with this, especially when it comes to tailoring it down to PDP?
Yes, of course, we can only but tailor it down to PDP because, I mean, are you resigning? I don't know why it is generating so much buzz. Wike has said, look, that he's going to deal with ASUU boys, and they seem to be at a whole lot of loggerheads. The crisis rocking the PDP right now in terms of the BOT and all. Shouldn't even be dragging themselves in the mud in public, dragging themselves in court. I think the constitution stipulates what should be. And for a BOT chairman holding on to, you know, power as if that doesn't determine the generality, success or otherwise of the party at the polls. I do not know why it is raising dust in the PDP. Bode George has spoken. The likes of the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party for the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, and his running mate have also spoken. People have tried to wade into this matter. Wike seems to be on a stiff-necked decision or a stiff-necked position on this matter, having these guys resign with threats coming here and there. The BOT is just an appointment. You know, they barely have anything to decide in the success of the polls or how the campaign should run. Campaigns will soon start rolling out here and there. So I just think that they should focus on what matters. Set out your agenda. Set out your mandates. What are you giving to the people? What are you selling to the people? That's what they should focus on not whether or not somebody was promised something somewhere and then it failed to be given to him, or whether or not the presidential ticket should have been zoned to the southeast or not. You know, you already have a presidential candidate right now and a vice presidential candidate. And I think everybody who says I'm a card-carrying member of the PDP or he or she is the card-carrying member of the PDP should come behind their presidential candidate. Otherwise, they're headed for the rocks. In fact, as we speak, they are divided in three ways right now. You have the ASUU boys, you have the Wike boys, you have the Atiku and Okowa boys.
Well said, Marshall. And I'm asking myself, whoever is politically, you know, paying attention to the shenanigans of this party, you know, I'm sorry that I have to, you know, put it like that with PDP, because I'm just asking why, you know, Iyorcha, you must resign, the national head of a political party resigning when election is barely 5 months away. I'm asking in pain, why can't they just put their house in order, Marshall? And it doesn't even show the seriousness of the real issues that we are facing in our country at the moment. So I'm asking, you know, Governor Makinde is demanding resignation of ASUU, you know, because he claims that it's not moving the party forward and the likes. I like the fact that you touched on Wike, Governor Wike as well. I like the fact that you are talking about how it has divided the party into three when it comes to different people aligning with the individual, the personalities now, you know. People. And I'm asking myself, Article said, you know, that he had no problem with the call as far as it's concerned, as long as it comes in accordance, you know, with the party's constitutional law and all of that. And I like the fact that he had to put it like that, because that is being professional. I like to look at things from a professional angle. And I want to believe that all of this commotion is connected to Wike, Atiku's issue and the likes and all of that. And Makinde, Governor Makinde coming into power, I feel that he has also inherited all those issues on the table in the party. So a big party like PDP shouldn't be suffering this kind of, how will I put it now, this kind of waves at this time, if you ask me. Because if we all know, or if we don't know, you know, people are becoming more politically insensitive, or sensitive rather, and they are careful on which party they should join. You know, someone like my own cousin, they don't even understand. You know, sometimes they say, you know, when you look at APC, you look at PDP, you look at it, they are their issues.
They are
it's
twinning.
like all of them.
They are twinning.
They are twinning in challenges. So these big parties should not even deceive themselves on past glory, which is one of the things I felt that I was going to emphasize on this table, because, you know, people are aligning more with Labour Party today. Yes, I'm saying so because I've heard quite a number of people, I've engaged quite a number of elites, you know, who are now very inclined, as in terms of sensitivity and how they have risen into their interests. You know, before, Nigerians were not really interested in politics like that. But now it's like there's a walk, you know, that everybody's like, oh no. So people are aligning themselves with Labour Party. Yes, because I really need to drive my message to all those PDP, what's it called, leaders, so to speak, so that they can understand that, you know, people believe that Labour Party is just online, though they just have online followers and they don't have elites or matured people who are supported. That's not true, guys, you know. So I want them to quickly fix their houses on time and start facing the real issues on ground and look for how to actually sell more to us, how they are going to solve the issues at hand. Nigerians are more interested in that. That way, that is when we'll know who wants to vote in the corridor of power. I think I have to quickly put that on rest so that we'll move on to the second trending story quickly. And I think the second trending story that also caught our attention is that of the unknown gunmen, Biafra Nation sabotage. You know, Marshall, you know, watching the video, I don't know if you saw the video all through. I just felt that this video is a clear indication of the fact that we are detractors, so to speak.
Can you explain it?
In terms of progress in our country. And what do I mean by that, Marshall? I just feel that the problems we are facing are something that we imported. I feel that we created the problem ourselves as Nigerians. So I'm asking myself, why is it that at the moment, you know, all of us are quick to point fingers, you know, we are quick to point fingers, but we are not addressing our issues. You know, watching that video, I'm asking myself, what's the progress that is going on? Who are the people even sponsoring this Biafra? I'm sorry to say, you know, because as far as I'm concerned, the killing of soldiers, the policemen, the innocent citizens, the destruction of properties, you know, there are way too many and they are not moving us forward. And, you know, I'm sorry to say this, you know, I really want to emphasize, Marshall, as far as I'm concerned, watching that video, I'm sorry, I feel that there's people sponsoring it, because I do not understand who could mastermind such a thing. Listening to the video, I wish that we can put up the video if the technical director is out there. If we can put up the video,
but if you
I
can
really
explain
like it.
a few things.
I feel that they have, you know, these people have their own power, that I feel that politically they are actually controlling quite a number of things. Hence the reason why this killing have continued. It has become a sponsoring thing from whichever party or something. I stand to be corrected, guys, but our system needs to purge, or you know, purge out all these evil people quickly, in terms of all those people who are behind it, knowing that 2023 is just around the corner. And I'm sorry, there are quite a number of perspectives to this unknown gunman. I really don't believe in it, because there's a face to it, there's a name to it. Why do we have to give it unknown gunmen? So I'm sorry, you know, this unknown gunmen, sometimes I feel that the ESN are more often as IPOB, whatever, you know. This is how Boko Haram turned out to be, you know, cancerous in our system. Yes, I'm saying so. So we need to look into those who are sabotaging us in the system. It is very important for us to actually look into it. It's very important for us to start, you know, start cutting down all these wings, especially in the eastern region of our country. It's just unfortunate that when you think about the insecurities today, the insecurity started from our communities, from our neighbors. Do you understand? It's about the messages that are being passed across. I couldn't even finish watching the video because I was so irritated, and the kind of information that he had, and the fact that they put energy into every step before action is being taken. I'm sorry, somebody must be sponsoring them. All right. What do you have to say?
Well, for me, the truth is gospel is that I have not seen the video, and well, I can tell, I can make some deductions. I wish we were able to have the video up, or some kind of summary was given. But from the caption, it says something about saboteur of the Biafra nation. I want to believe maybe some persons who are not really members of the movement for the emancipation of, or the movement for the actualization of the sovereign state of Biafra, posing as MASOB or IPOB, and, you know, carrying out mayhem or whatever. maybe that I started watching the video. The guy was apprehended and he was being asked questions about how he was doing his things, and that's where I got caught off. So I want to believe he's the saboteur that was apprehended, and by saboteur meaning posing as maybe IPOP or MASOP, and then carrying out havoc.
It's so unfortunate where we are at the moment in terms of insecurity and all of that. But guys, let's quickly connect to our guest. Before I bring him in, on the show today again, I'm hoping the windows, or reopening rather, the windows of ASUU strike, and of course the tussle between the federal government and the ASUU, and I want us to recall that this strike began with a 2 weeks warning, and I think on the 14th of February to be precise,
14th, yeah.
Exactly. As of today, it has lasted for about 7 months and a day. However, some demands have been met, as stated by the Zainab Ahmed, as the Minister for Finance, Budget and Planning, and of course, despite the demands, ASUU strike still lingers. So this has led the federal government to have the NICN, to inquire into the legality and otherwise of the ongoing prolonged strike by ASUU leadership and members that has had or continued even with apprehension in the air. So federal government asked the court to interpret its entirety provision of Section 18 LFN of 2004, especially as it applies to the termination of the strike once a trade dispute is apprehended by the Minister of Labour and Employment, and the cancellation is ongoing, the ongoing strike at the moment. Without going much into this story, let's get the profile of our guest, and we'll talk more on this issue and stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with us. Of course, we have Mr. Malachi. Thanks for honoring my invite despite the short notice. But quickly, Marshall, let me get your take. 7 months and a day. It's so unfortunate. I'm asking myself, why is it that we could not handle our issues humanly among ourselves as leaders? Why do we have to now go to an industrial court to actually get this resolved? What's your take on this?
Because we are confused.
Are we confused about meeting demands, about incentive, about increase in salary? As in a whole year in the educational calendar, it's gone. What do you mean? What kind of confusion is that?
It can only be confusion as a result of ignorance, as a result of not knowing what to do, as a result of not knowing the answer, or just merely playing ignorant. And the fact, what is perplexing even the more, and that suit sought by the federal government or the Ministry of Education against the labor union ASUU, is the fact that they are asking the court to sort of, how do you call it now, disband ASUU and make ASUU an illegal association or organization. And then they're also seeking a no work, no pay to waive off the salaries which these ASUU members have been seeking, the salaries for the time that the strike's been on. Well, it's not for me to begin to justify that ASUU members should be paid for the period they've been at home. Truth of the matter is that they didn't work for that period. I think it behoves the federal government to make a very articulate defense as to why they shouldn't be paid for that period of time. We'll have a lawyer on the show and we've connected to him, so hopefully we would have him tell us the legalities and all. For me, federal government should have just come out rightly. I mean, you have a very robust legislative system, a very robust National Assembly. Couldn't they interpret the laws for you? Couldn't they revert to their own legislative arm of government to, you know, intervene in this matter and let the lawyers, let the brains, let the legal minds in the National Assembly, you know, chat a way forward? If you're owing these guys, they have said, look, you're owing us. You can't bully us back to the classroom. We are dying, and the truth of the matter, we've seen ASUU members, we've seen academic staff union members dying in the course of fighting for their salaries. Some of them have even gone over to look for other streams of income and said, you know, they won't be going back to that. Those are the ones I refer to as the, you know, noble comrades who have decided to say, look, this struggle isn't worth it, and have diverted into something else. While some others who do not have any alternative have held on strong to the struggle.
I agree with you, but I feel that the federal government right now need clarity in terms of the provision of some of the constitutional law guiding the educational sector and the likes and all of that. But because it's so unfortunate right now that, you know, the old year, so to speak, you know, is just thrown into the trash, basically.
It will not go out of our history. It will one day on the Real Talk with Kike, maybe when we were doing the international broadcast, we would have, you know, on our this day in history, and we'll say many years ago, on the 14th of February 2002, members of the Academic Staff Union, now disbanded or now, you know, illegal or still holding on strong, but embarked on a 2 weeks running strike to hope that the federal government was going to yield to their demand, but that failed and that lingered into another how many months strike. Like Kike said, we are now in the 7th month and counting. And for crying out loud, in the scheme of things, in the academic scheme of things, this is September, and it's the month of resumption. For tertiary educations, they will be striking new semesters. For secondary educations and primary educations, basic educations, they will be striking new term. You know, so the new term that heralds another session. And if ASUU is not looking to call off the strike today, tomorrow, in September, I mean, we're in the middle of the month already. In October, and they don't call it off, that means the whole year, like Ike keeps saying, is already gone. So we'll be looking forward to January and hoping that in December, ASUU gives us a Christmas gift with calling off the strike. Or federal government gifts ASUU a gift and they meet their demand. We're appealing. We're really appealing.
Right. Many thanks for staying with me, Barrister Malachi. Are you there now? Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, yes, and I hope you can hear me too.
Yeah, I can hear you now. What limit has this section given to ASUU in terms of the Section 43 in the Trade Act itself? You know, the Trade Dispute Act that is titled Special Provision Concerning the Payment Wages During these strikes and lockouts. What limit does it have?
Okay. Well, once again, let me apologize to the viewers. I did complain that I'll be in transit, but now that we're here, we need to maximize the limited time that we have. The law is specific on the, you know, industrial relation between employers and employee. This time around, the federal government and members of the Academic Staff Union of universities in federal universities. To the extent that the academics, that is university teachers, are expected to draw their salaries from the coffers of the federal government in fulfillment of the discharge of their functions as teachers in the universities following their work. To that extent, you could say that the federal government is making a point regarding the need to be paid after work. However, that is not the entire package of the story. The story is that the federal government itself that is pushing this argument is also bound as a party to an industrial relations to abide and perform their duty with respect to what you call an agreement. And this agreement has been entered since 2009. The same government has shifted grounds by appointing committees after committee. On the last count, three different committees, including the BRICS committee, that has renegotiated in a collective agreement, an agreement that has already been signed and waiting to be fulfilled. So that is an exception to the Trade Dispute Act. In this respect, it is the federal government who has gone to court now that is in breach of that agreement. If they have challenges in respect of which they can no longer fulfill their own part of the agreement, those challenges should be brought to the table in an honest, dispassionate, and with the genuine intention to ensure that the educational system in Nigeria does not remain comatose as we have it today. So it is simplistic to keep referencing the provisions of the Trade Dispute Act without reference to the collective agreement that occasioned the present state of affairs. And who went to court? It is not ASUU, it is the federal government. So in response to your question, and that is directly speaking, we understand the provisions of the Trade Dispute Act, but we also know that the Trade Dispute Act should not be read in isolation of other regulating instruments, including the ILO, to which Nigeria has subscribed, clearly defining the rights, privileges, and duties of parties that go voluntarily into collective agreement as a non-dispute, as a non-labor relation matter. So that is where we are now.
Seems to me that you're saying, given the initial agreement, given the initial reports by these committees, given the initial agreement entered into between ASUU and the federal government, that the case might just be as good as dead on arrival, or the sledgehammer might even fall on the federal government itself. Is that what we might get from this ASUU?
Well, I'm a lawyer. I'm not just a lawyer, I'm a practicing lawyer. The law courts and the cases brought before courts can be akin to a war situation. So you could know when you start, but you don't know how and when you will exit. That is not to say that there is uncertainty regarding the causes of action that probably have motivated you to approach the court in the first place. And on the other side, the body of defense that can be thrown out. The point I make is that it doesn't just stop at rushing to the court. You can rush to the court and also rush out. And I'm going to be a bit circumspect, knowing that the matter is now sub judice. It is before, it's a live case before a court of competent jurisdiction. And therefore, professionally, we are enjoined to moderate our public statements as regards it. But to attempt a general overview and response to your question is to say that whereas the federal government has felt sufficiently convinced that they can now litigate over this matter, it does not preclude the defenses and the very credible grounds that the academic staff union of universities can rely on in contesting the propriety of the action that they have brought in the first place. In short, if you ask me, I would say that it was an ill-advised approach or step by the federal government, because there is in existence, known to the whole world, very many principal positions taken prior to this case that clearly establish the fact that there is no issue. The only issue is that on your own part, you have refused to implement, or you have failed, or it has become difficult for you to implement the agreement reached. So you needed to clearly evaluate all of those positions before you approach an arbiter. I hope and I wish them well, but I'm deeply convinced that it is not as simple as they probably think before they have going to the court.
All right, many thanks for that submission right there, because, you know, talking about simplicity, Minister for Works and Housing, that's SAN Fashola, SAN Fashola, said that Nigerian students violated the law by blocking the roads. This is the road that is leading, I think, Ibadan Express Road, and all of that. So, you know, in such a country like ours, under the law, I'm wondering, how should the students actually be heard to understand their grievances, or how should federal governments are going to actually understand the grievances of the students in Nigeria, knowing that they've been out of school for 7 months and a day? What's your take on this?
I like to believe that the Honorable Minister for Works and Housing
Can you hear me? All right, you know, before we try to reestablish the connection again, Masha, you know, Fashola is one person that I can tell you that, you know, have helped or supported me career-wise, you know, but listening to him saying that it was not it was like they are violating the laws of the country, you know, how do you think that the students needs to actually pass in their message? Are you there now, Barrister Malachi? Can you hear me now?
I'm here and I'm responding. Can you hear me too?
Okay, we can hear you now. We couldn't hear you earlier. Go ahead, please.
Oh, sorry about that. I was making the point, and this is with due respect and in recognition that Rajiv Fashola, SAN, is not just a senior lawyer in this country, he's a senior advocate of Nigeria. I imagine that the point he was trying to communicate is that the rights of Nigerians within the Constitution to freely express themselves under Section 33, to freely assemble under Section 39, and to move, right to freedom of movement under Section 40, does not preclude other citizens of the country to their right to safety and also to move. In other words, that blocking the express road could constitute an infraction in that sense. That is speaking from the angle of a government state functionary. A student or Nigerian students who have been kept at home for 7 clear whopping months reserves the right to express themselves in a way that effectively communicates the resentment of the students. In short, I am happy that it is not about violent destruction of properties, because that is when they would have been taking the laws into their hand. If it is about freely demonstrating, protesting, and asking government questions as to why they are not in school, that is well within the powers of these students. As a matter of fact, by section 83, subsection 3 of the Police Act 2020, very recent law, the Nigerian police, in short, the law enforcement agencies of this country are under an obligation. They are obligated to provide security and ensure that people who are aggrieved, like the students, like members of ASUU, are given enough protection anytime they want to embark on a rally or protest, provided, of course, that they notified, please mark my word, they notified the police indicating where, when, and how they intend to embark on that rally. The question of seeking permission or the approval of the law enforcement agency is no longer the Nigerian law. And I am referencing the very popular case, popular now because our president, our dear president, was actually the applicant in that matter, who took the matter to the Federal High Court when he felt that his right was violated. And that is the case of Inspector General of Police and AMPP. AMPP is All Nigerian People's Party, led by President Muhammadu Buhari, who went to Kano in 2007, together with his running mate, late Okadibo Chuba, and they were brutalized by the Nigerian police force on the grounds that they did not seek permission and they did not get the approval of the Nigerian police force before they embarked on that rally. The Court of Appeal took advantage of that case and struck down one of the retrogressive vestiges of colonial domination in Nigeria and say that the Public Protection Act, which is the act that seeks or sought to regulate the activities of the colonialists, I mean the nationalists, is no longer necessary and no longer relevant in Nigerian law, and that under the relevant provisions of the Constitution.
What have been shared thus far from me? What's your take on this?
So much. Well, he's trying to balance it to say, look, from the legal side, that where your rights, your freedom, or your rights, your expression of your rights, your fundamental human rights starts, stops. Another person's fundamental human rights continues from there. So you shouldn't use yours to stop others. Is it back on? And the students expressing their rights is not the problem. The problem is the statement by your dear mentor and friend, Fashola, who boldly would come out, even though Malachi has said, I mean, he was talking from a government functionary standpoint. There's also a standpoint of a person who is learned and also responsible, coming out to say their expression of violation of their own rights is a violation of the rights of Nigerians is quite unacceptable. I mean, these are people that are very much aggrieved. In fact, not even are they only aggrieved. We have people who are not in school like us that have children in school that are so aggrieved about this. You know, we have not even really used a microscope to look at this holistically.
You know, talking
speaking?
about looking at it holistically, Masha, there's something I really want to put on the table now, because I read something from Guardian newspaper that is saying that federal government is praying and that the court should order ASUU to, you know, end the strike, despite the fact that they've not met their demands. So I'm asking myself, is federal government going to boycott their demands right now? Because that's what it seems like, that when they're praying for the court to actually, you know, put an order to it. You know, it's just unfortunate that in our country, we're actually not looking at how to resolve challenges that faces us. Sometimes we sweep it under the carpet. The next government comes to inherit all of these challenges. And it's unfortunate that in the last 5 years or more than, you know, the educational sector have been facing all of these strikes year in year. It's not even 5 years. I think almost every administration actually goes through that. But quickly, Barrister Malachi, are you there now?
Very well, I am.
All right, fantastic. You know, I was asking my co-host when the network interrupted us again. You know, I read something from the Guardian newspaper yesterday that says that federal government is praying, you know, for the court to order ASUU actually to end the strike, despite all the non-fulfillment of all the demands that they've asked for or they've made. So in my head, I'm thinking that, so it seems as if federal government is actually ready to boycott some of these demands as it is, and at the end of the day, I feel that the next administration is actually going to be inheriting all of these challenges and all of that. So I must ask you, Sarah, that is the Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project, you know, also filed a suit against the federal government on the same case in support of ASUU at the moment. Multiple litigations in these scenarios. As a lawyer, one thing that I feel that is clear to us as Nigerians or the justice system is that this case will take forever. If we are not careful, we might enter a new year and still be facing the same challenges in our educational sector. Do we see an ending resolution or in sight, basically? What's your take on this?
Well, if you can hear me, my take on this is that we need to retrace our steps a bit. The federal government in particular need to breathe in and step back a bit. You see, the forth and back, the incoherent approach of the federal government on this matter clearly will tell you the level of ambivalence and the degree of insincerity that envelopes the whole environment as far as this issue is concerned. I make this point because in less than a month ago, we saw Mr. President smoking with anger, and on the basis of which he gave a specific directive to the Minister of Education, Adamu, insisting that there is no way the situation can remain like this, and mandated him to resolve this crisis willy-nilly within 2 weeks. The first confusion we saw was that whereas the Minister of Labor and Productivity, Dr. Chris Ngige, confirmed that position, subsequently the same minister denied that there was no time the president gave him. So this lack of coordination and cooperation in the affairs of government leaves a serious-minded, properly organized organization like ASUU very determined to do the best that they can to salvage education from people who pay lip services. Now, I understand that the average fear of the Nigerian is that now that the matter has gone to court, the likelihood is that this will protract into the new year. But, well, it is neither here nor there. it has become an existential fight. In short, if you understand the dynamics of labor agitation, union campaigns and agitation, you will know that this is the best and the most important time to remain firm and ensure that a government that pretends and abdicates its responsibility and want to communicate to the world that it has no money to honor agreements requiring the very foundation of national development.
All right.
This is the time.
Barrister Malachi, I don't know if you can hear me. I really want to throw more light on the statement you just made in one of your submissions, stating that if we are not careful, there's eventuality that this might actually spill into New Year. Gosh, should the court order federal government right now to fulfill all the demands of ASUU? Because I'm asking, it's obvious that we don't see this administration quickly reaching a conclusion regarding the focus of education, knowing that election is on their lips at the moment. What is that thing? What message can you give on this question that I've just asked you? Because I really cannot wrap my head on the fact that you're saying that this might spill into a new year.
No. My sister Kiki, what the context in which I was saying that is that people may be scared, but this matter can be resolved even in the court in the next 1 month. It can be resolved in the next 3 weeks. That is what we call accelerated hearing. Most of the election petition matters, particularly those affecting the ruling class, do not spend up to 6 months. I was making that statement within the context of the fear which you even express yourself that it might get to next year. It must not necessarily get to next year. Let me tell you about 3 things that could possibly happen. The courts can direct out of court settlement. You cannot force the parties to settle, but the court can direct and say, I have seen the facts of this matter. I have seen, as exhibited in your processes, all the agreements and the renegotiations that, culminated this action. Can you please take the next 1 week and see if you could find consensus on the gray areas and come back? Yeah. In other words, the court will adjourn for report of settlement. Secondly, the court, based on the application of either of the parties, can approve or order what we call accelerated hearing. Accelerated hearing could be hearing in a way that fast-tracks the procedure and proceedings of court action. In that case, you might not have this matter last up to 3 weeks. There can be what you call, are you still there?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we have to round up.
Really
a lot have been shared, and I just want to say many thanks for all your submission and thank you for honoring my invite despite the short notice again. It's been an interesting time with you on Real Talk with Kike and trying to throw light on these educational issues that we're facing right now. Just pray that we can find an end to it quickly, just like he has shared that this can be resolved in 3 weeks. Yes. It's so unfortunate that we are where we are today. Again, many thanks.
On the understanding that education is at the heart and the root of every national development. That's what happened in Singapore.
Fantastic ending.
Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah.
Many thanks again. And to my co-host, my twinnie.
Yes,
I wish you a restful day.
I really need that
rest. So the technical director, let's say wrap up now. We need to go. Moses, many thanks again for holding it down in the technical room. My name is Atanda-Owo, and you are
Marshall Anthony Onoye. God bless you.